Hi, I'm Marisha,
Hi, I'm Courtney.
and you are listening to
Best Self Besties. Here we
Hello.
are.
Welcome back to week 2 of our second season. We're
I
still going.
know. Yes. And we are here again to start workshopping what we're doing with our 12-week year. So last week we talked a little bit about how to restructure your year into quarters or almost like 12-week cycles with an extra week for a little bit of vacation and resetting. And what we want to do today is talk a little bit about expanding on that vision and imagining and really putting yourself in the seat of what it would be like to be living out all of those goals, all of those dreams, how you would feel different, because that's really going to give you the clue of, are those the right goals for you? Are those the things that really represent success in terms of what you define success as in your own life and what you want to see? Because we know a lot about motivation and productivity and consistency. And what really brings all of those three together is if you're excited about doing those things and you're excited about that vision and that end goal, the motivation comes, the consistency comes, the productivity comes from that instead of trying to create this busy work that makes you feel like you're on your way to it. We really have to make sure the foundations are set so that you are authentically working towards the values that you want to live out and you know how it's going to feel. So we have to visualize that first.
Absolutely. And I think the first thing that you need to do is figure out what happiness feels like. There are so many
Yes.
times that I have been in my corporate job, working away like a busy little bee and thinking that happiness was a drink at the end of the day, or
Mm,
that having my 2 week holiday was like joy,
hmm
or that getting out early. I remember thinking if we got out early, because we used to finish on Fridays at 4:30,
hmm
I was like, this is brilliant, great. It's half an hour of your
Yeah.
day that you don't do
hmm
anything with because you still go out and drink. But like half an hour is not happiness. It's really not. Really
Yes.
enjoying your life. And it's totally different for absolutely everybody out there. But I remember one of my birthdays. I have these two friends and we went for a walk. We've got loads of parks near where I live and we went for a walk and my friend was very into well-being and all of that kind of stuff, and
hmm
she made us all lie down and like did this beautiful meditation, and during her meditation it started to rain, but nobody cared that it was like we were all in really cute outfits taking tons and tons of pictures, but it started to rain and nobody cared because we were in the moment together, and because we
hmm
were in the moment together and we enjoyed each other's company and we'd been laughing all day and having bubbles, and it was just a really beautiful moment. I think I will remember
hmm
that for so long because we didn't care so much, right? Like
Yeah.
we didn't care what was going on around us. We didn't care what was happening in the morning. Like I had a shocking morning as well. And I remember it because we were just sitting and my friend did this beautiful meditation out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, I have surrounded myself with
Yeah.
the right people. I have surrounded myself and aligned myself with people who bring like beautiful things into my world. And
hmm
I will remember that because it just made me so happy and it made me like warm and fuzzy inside.
What a great anecdote.
Yeah,
Because I think that when we talk about happiness, this is something that eludes a lot of people.
yeah,
And
it is.
I truly, truly believe happiness is something that is fleeting. It's not a consistent, always there feeling that you have. I think that people confuse happiness with a lot of other emotions and a lot of other ways of being. And
Yeah,
sometimes happiness looks like contentment. Sometimes happiness looks like peace and quiet. Sometimes happiness looks like really high energetic activities. Sometimes happiness is just sharing space.
mm,
And you really need to define what you think happiness is instead of trying to reach for it or trying to save up for it or trying to make it something that you have to work to get. It doesn't have to be that hard, but we have almost a bias of thinking that way.
Yeah. I also think a lot of people think happiness lies in somebody else. Like, I have so many
Like
girlfriends that are
outside of themselves.
only ever happy in relationships, or only
Mm-hmm.
ever happy when they are with somebody that makes them happy, or doing things with other people. When, like,
Mm-hmm.
some people love to travel and some people are homebodies. And if you want to travel and you've given up that thing that makes you happy because your partner's not really a travel person,
Mm-hmm.
then you've given up that section of your happiness. So I always think that your happiness lies within you, and it's such a myth that other things will make you happy.
I
They'll
think
bring
that
you
other
joy, they'll
things,
bring you laughter, but they won't
yeah,
make you happy, like, internally.
yeah. There's nothing that exists outside of you that is the reason you are or are not happy. It's all within your internal choices, in your internal mindset, and with how you choose to move through things. Just like you said, you can be standing outside in the rain
Mm-hmm.
and be completely blissful because you're not depending on the weather
Yeah.
for happiness. You're in the moment experiencing what you're experiencing, and regardless of the weather, you can feel happiness. And it's about what you do no matter what the weather, that's going to, give you that feeling of happiness. And I think that the more you can recognize those moments, the more frequent you feel that happiness or that contentment or that feeling inside of just being fulfilled or filled with joy. One of the things I wanted to talk about this episode that we just kind of like anecdotally talked about is our generation is not concerned with waiting for retirement for happiness. Okay. It is not, we do not subscribe to
Yeah,
that
I
because
agree.
I think we've watched a lot of generations who have depended on that. They reach retirement and they have everything they need to be retired, AKA not working.
Mm.
And they end up working anyway, either because they need more money or they have just put off all of their moments to be able to
Mm.
experience happiness. Really, that's what it is you're putting off all of those moments until you have the free time for it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I think both of us started our business, not the only reason, but one of the many reasons people are unsubscribing to these corporate lifestyles is 2 weeks is not enough of time away from work. 2 weeks a year for your whole life? Are you crazy? Absolutely not. That's not enough. You can't just fit everything you want to do into 2 weeks and expect yourself to be happy for the rest of the year.
By the way, in the UK, it's a month, it's 28 days, and that's still not enough. Like, it's not the
No,
time frame that you have, it's the freedom of
no.
choosing how you utilize your time that is the winner.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we just have the westernized culture across the pond. It's worse here because
Yeah.
everybody has indoctrinated that they have 2 weeks of vacation and that's standard. You can get more with more years of work
Mm.
or companies that, prioritize that. But those are diamonds in the rough. For the most part, besties out there who are listening have a few sparing weeks of vacation to be able to recalibrate and enjoy everything you worked for the whole year.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is don't put it on hold. If you're putting it on hold, you're not doing yourself any favors, and you have to really work hard against that kind of mentality, that is something that as a human is enough for you to be able to invest in your time in being happy and enjoying things that help you keep going. And it doesn't mean write off retirement. If that's a dream of yours, great. But it doesn't mean you need to save everything you want to do with your life until then. And putting those kinds of goals into a 12-week year is going to guarantee that at least you are planning to do that on a quarterly basis. Every 3 months, every 12 weeks, you're
Yeah.
putting investment into creating time that's going to help you feel fulfilled, that's moving the needle in terms of your contentment, your happiness, your goals, the lifestyle and success you want to have. And it doesn't all have to be related to the work lifestyle that has been the main subscription that we've all had. It can be and look different. We just have to be a little bit creative with working within it, or be creative with how to maybe build the capacity to step outside of it and find something that works better for us.
Yeah. I want to put a caveat or a warning.
Mm.
When I say I've been through it with my circle, I've been through it. When I started my business, I was very excited and very happy, and I was doing all of the things, and I was talking so much about it. And one of the things one of my friends said to me, we were tipsy, we were like having a good time, and then it gets to the end of the night and everyone's drank a little bit too much and is a little bit too honest. But one of my friends turned around to me and said, I don't get why you're so happy, because I don't have the husband, I don't have the
Mm-hmm.
kids, I'm not a partner in a business, in a company. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that she thought would make her happy, because she was very, very unhappy in her life
Mm-hmm.
after all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I had quit that dream of buying the
Mm-hmm.
house, having the husband, having the kid. Like, I'd quit that dream and thought, I'm going to go all in myself. And that made me so much happier.
Mm-hmm.
And it really irked certain people in my circle.
Yeah.
And that
I
will happen.
I feel like you probably did, and I probably did experience this when we decided to take, that left turn that
Mm-hmm.
nobody else was
Yeah.
taking at the time. It's very common now. I think a lot more people are doing it because
Yeah.
they're seeing what the other side can look like because so many
Yeah.
people are doing it. But I think that a lot of us, we followed the formula. We did
Mm-hmm.
all the right things and we got there. And then we're like, wait a second, I did all of the things and I'm still not feeling that happiness. I'm not
Yeah.
feeling that contentment. I'm not feeling that fulfillment. But I did all of the things. So what am I not doing right? Like, I did it right. And I
Yeah.
think that's maybe where your friend was sitting, is like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I have done all of these things in the right order with the right
Yeah.
formula and still not feel that, but yet you've done something completely different and you get that? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. There's like an unfairness kind of
Yeah.
meter that pops up, and it really has nothing to do with you,
No, no,
but
no.
more to do with them in comparison being like, because that's what I felt.
It was also their perspective on happiness,
Right.
right? Like, their
Exactly.
happiness is almost like a checklist as opposed
Mm.
to a feeling. So, like, I'll
Hmm.
be happy when I get this, this, and this.
Right.
I'll be
Yeah.
happy when this happens for me, or I'll be happy
Hmm.
when this happens for them.
Hmm.
And in reality, your happiness isn't a checklist. You can be happy right here, right now. You
Hmm.
just have to choose to be.
Hmm.
And that is why gratitude and the practice of gratitude has changed so many people's lives, because they haven't seen how happy they are and how lucky they are and how beautiful their life actually is and how many
Hmm.
good things happen to them, because they haven't actually taken the time to sit back and think, oh my God, I've got a roof over my head and it's snowing outside. How lucky am I? Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm wearing brand new clothes and it's the new year. Like, how lucky am I? Like,
Yeah.
all of these things are blessings. They are things that you should be grateful for. They are things that not every single person on this planet has access to. And the fact that we don't learn to be grateful, and it's almost like like, some people say you're bragging, and some people say that you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, or you're trying to con yourself into thinking you've got a good life when you don't. When in reality, you're just noticing and shifting your mindset towards thinking about the positive, and you're shifting your mindset into thinking to-do list into a to-feel list.
Absolutely. I think like you're putting time and effort into differentiating between the two, where a lot of
Yeah.
times we don't. One of
Yeah.
the first times I experienced or felt like I was able to relate to somebody who felt like this was a documentary called I think it's called Minimalism, or The
Mhm.
Minimalist, but this was maybe 10 years ago. And this is the exact story. They were like, I had everything I wanted in terms of what the definition of success was
Mhm.
in our culture. And they were just like, I was so unhappy. I had all the things, all the material things that I had ever wanted and I ever worked for, but I still wasn't happy. What they kind of did to take a U-turn was really reevaluate. Okay, I thought all this stuff was going to make me happy. I thought getting to this certain place was going to make me happy. And what they realized through the process is those things didn't make me happy, but they represent success and happiness. And I thought that by having them, that I would get the feeling, but it was misaligned. Again, like we talk about it often, a prescription, someone else's prescription that we're following. And we kind of, as as a society, we have this groupthink, and we've all collectively agreed that these things make people happy. But what we need to realize, it's the feeling part that we're missing. It's the
Yeah.
emotional attachment. It's the joy. It's the gratitude. And it can be so small. Something else I saw recently, and it's kind of the way I've been thinking ever since we have just been experiencing this really hard economic time, where no matter how much money you make, everybody's a few paychecks away from being in trouble, because we've just created a lifestyle that we can't afford with the way that the economy is shifting. It's really showing us that we have to reevaluate how to think about what we need and what we want, and how those things are really bringing us happiness. Anyway, this creator, she spoke about it in a way that it made me A, laugh, B, agree, because I've been saying this for a while, just to close people by me. I like to use humor in situations like this. You know, we're talking about inflation. We're talking about like the housing market. Like, if you're in your 30s, forget it. She said, you know, with all this inflation, and like going to the grocery store is just like its own stress, because of having to like nickel and dime what you're spending on, because you can't just go to the grocery store and drop $100 and feed yourself for a week anymore. It's like you have to really be careful about where you put it. Otherwise, you're going to have all this food and you're not going to be able to make a meal, because it's so expensive. But she said, I started looking at it through the lens of like my ancestors. And have the things that I have around my house, even though I feel like I just went to the grocery store and I still have nothing to eat, if my ancestors saw me right now, they would be like, you have pistachios in your house? Like, that's not a meal. But she's like, oh, what luxury? You have macadamia nuts? That would if we had macadamia nuts, we would survive for a week. What, you have fresh, clean water, and you're just waiting to get more for when you get paid? You're able to survive. You have a house. Yes, there's all these expenses, but it just shows you the gratitude for these really small things. The way that I like to think about it is, I think about my grandfather, and he like grew up in the Depression. He grew up during a time where they were literally rationing food nationally. You know, like we complain about all these things, and it doesn't mean that we don't have the right to, because of the economy that we're sitting in right now and the situation that we're in right now. It shouldn't be the case, but it is. But in these situations, we actually have so much surrounding us. We have so much wealth, success, opportunity surrounding us. And when you're sitting in, you know, the scarcity mindset of like, I still don't have this, I still don't have this, I still don't have this. Look at what you do have, and look at how that is allowing you to just be here and even have these dreams, and know that you can go further. And practicing gratitude, the smallest things, you know, like being able to like meditate with your friends in the rain and not want to move because you're all enjoying yourself so much. Like, the beauty in those moments, and the beauty in some of the things that aren't tangible. We constantly focus on things that are material and tangible. The things that aren't tangible are so much more valuable, because you can't just make them. You can't just go out and buy them. You can't just have them. You have to create them yourself, and they have to come from within, and from relationships and connections with other people. And that's what's usually missing. So, you know, we're talking about the 12-week year. Think about not just your why and where you want to go and your reasons for that, but think about how you're going to move throughout that process and still be grateful for all the things that you do have, instead of sitting in scarcity. Think about what you already have in abundance, because that is what's going to continue to help remind you of what makes you feel really whole, and what you still feel is missing, and to follow those kind of insights in terms of how you're feeling, so that you can start to create more moments where that's possible, or create more experiences, like you said, that are going to make you feel that, and really be able to sit in those moments and enjoy it, and have a different perspective of where you want to go next, because of allowing yourself to have time to feel that and enjoy that.
Absolutely. And I think one of the methods they talk about in the 12-week year is to ask yourself, what if all of your dreams came true? What would you do? Because there are so many times when you think a really cute outfit will make you happy, and you get that cute outfit and you're like, oh, this is really underwhelming.
Yeah.
And you've been thinking about that outfit for ages, and you've been daydreaming it. It's been in your basket for a while.
Yeah.
And you get it and you're like, okay, now what? next? And
Yeah.
I think when you realize that, when you really understand what significance is of thinking about things for so long and then they happen and you're slightly underwhelmed, that wasn't a goal of yours. There was some underlying need that you had
Mm-hmm.
that you still haven't fulfilled, but you thought it was external. Like that happens so many times where people
Mm-hmm.
feel like they have to have something external to feel validation. And in reality, you have to get that from within. You don't,
Mm-hmm.
your dreams don't happen because somebody gave you a paycheck or a pay rise. Your dreams don't
Mm-hmm.
happen because you met somebody brand new. They happen because you look at your life differently. They happen because you feel into your life differently. And
Mm-hmm.
that is what we want you to change your focus on. So if you were to pick up a piece of paper and a pen and just write a letter to yourself once all of your dreams would happen, what do you think you would say to yourself? Because I guarantee you wouldn't say, oh, we won the lottery and we got a boat and we were really happy ever after. We lived happily ever after. No, no, no. You have to
Yeah.
learn
More
how to
money.
drive your boat. You have to figure out
Yeah.
how long you're going to stay on a boat, how much food rations you're going to have. There are lots of stresses to having a boat, but really think about what the end result is that you're looking for. And
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, that result is an emotion. You want to feel freedom. You want to feel happiness. You want to feel joy. You want to feel connected. Whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, you have to start putting in the work today. The work isn't fun. The work is tough and it's long. And we're trying to shorten that by doing the 12-week year.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, really understanding what your dreams are will help you get there quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I like to do to think about that is I very much, Arish and I work very yin and yang, the way our
Yeah.
brains work. I love to think about what the end goal is or what I'm trying to reach for. And then I start working backwards. So when we're talking about the year, I think about, okay, this time next year, what do I want to be different? What do I want to feel like? And then I start scaling it back to be like, okay, in this first 12-week period, or these first 3 months, or this first quarter, whoever you want to name it, what are some actions that I can start taking to reach a milestone at the end of these 12 weeks? One of my goals is, putting more time and energy into my physical fitness, my physical well-being. And what are some things that I can do and accomplish within 12 weeks? And then I start deciding, okay, how am I going to make a goal out of that that's actionable? So what I've started with is I want to build the foundation of getting back into physical activity in a way that's going to be sustainable. Okay? I'm not going to start doing something that isn't aligned. I'm not going to be motivated to do something that I don't want to do. But what do I really enjoy? I really enjoy a deep stretch. Okay? I
Mm-hmm.
can feel my body craving it. Like I feel like I'm just really stuck in positions. And I know that the kind of exercise I want to do, but I also know that I haven't been doing it on my own. Okay. Even though there is a YouTube video anywhere on the internet, that's not going to change the needle for me. So I know that I need a space where there's people around me that are going to help bring the energy and going to help get me into that kind of motion that I've been struggling to do on my own. So this is
Yeah.
part of my like asking for help is I don't have to do it alone. I don't have to
Yeah.
do everything alone to achieve it. And so this is where I've, then thinking about, okay, how am I going to invest in that? When am I going to do it? Where am I going to do it? How am I going to find a community that is going to align with the kind of outcome I'm looking for without putting any of the extra things in the mix that I don't want to be pressured to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody has different places that they like to go. I'm very like specific about the energy of when it comes to a physical exercise type of environment because I want a really more like relaxing, like let's just like ease into it. Let's
Yeah.
stretch. I want that like yummy stretch,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want to be in a place where like I can get that energy too when I'm ready so that I don't have to completely switch communities. So I found somewhere where it has like the mix of everything so I can pick different times of the day. So I've decided, okay, I found somewhere that I like, something that's aligned with what my body is craving right now. it's something I can accomplish in 12 weeks and set a foundation for. And now I can put something into action weekly in 12 weeks that I know is going to help me set the foundation for that being consistent. So what I'm trying to do is just show up and like get used to that kind of environment, get used to that being a new part of my routine without expecting a whole bunch of other stuff from it.
Yeah.
This is the goal. The goal is feeling better. The goal is
Yeah.
feeling more connected with my body and feeling, healthier because I'm moving more. And I think that a lot of times after the new year, we jump straight into, I need to get physically fit for, summer. I'm going to like jump into it really hard. And often what we do is we push too hard and we burn out, or we push too hard and we get injured, or we push too hard and realize we set up expectations that are just not really aligned, or they're too far away from where we're at right now.
So I was
yeah.
definitely that person, and which is why I work differently now. And I definitely think you have to figure out what works for you. Like either reverse engineering works for you, or testing. Like my way of doing things is to test things. So yes, one of my goals for this year is to be happier in my body. I do want to lose weight, but I don't necessarily want that to be a goal. I just want that to be the result of things that I'm doing. So I'm enjoying doing things, and that's a result of how I'm doing them. And so one of the ways that I'm doing this, and I think once you have your goal, if you want to lose weight or you want to move more, whatever it is, I look at what I want to do and then figure out how I'm going to do it, and then test out all of those things. So say movement is like one of my goals, is to just feel better in my body. I have signed up to a new yoga studio. A studio that I know, and I have signed up for a length of time to do it. So I'm going to test it out and see. I haven't committed, I haven't signed a membership for 6 months. I'm testing it out. I also bought me and my mum, I don't know what they're called, but they're like steppers. So like little steps that you do like dance workouts on.
Yeah.
I can explain it very well.
I know exactly what you mean. Like the things that are like in like a step class or like aerobics class. Yeah.
So I bought one of those, and I'm like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to find a YouTube video or a TikTok channel that does classes every week and try it out and see what happens and see if I enjoy it. I used to walk so much, and obviously right now walking's not possible. Like it's just finished snowing, so walking is out of the question. But there are so many different things that you can think of and have it within your means and your grasp. But it's so important to test these things out, to see how they make you feel, to see if you want to jump right in and do them. Because for me, I need to figure out whether I actually like it or not. Because I am a dreamer. So I have all of these exciting things that I want to do. And sometimes you start them and you're like 2 weeks in, this isn't right for me anymore.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Because you've signed up. So like, that's it. End of.
Yeah. And like, I think you and I talked about this with like just different subscriptions that we've had.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. Like I kind of test them, but even my cell phone plan, even though I've been with them for 14 years, I've never signed a contract. I'm on month to month. Why? Who cares? It doesn't matter. It gives me the freedom to like leave whenever I want or change it whenever I want, because even though it could be a block, I'm not using it as a block. Like I don't want to be stuck in something or be paying for something that I'm not using. I want an out whenever I want, because I know myself. I know I change my mind, and I know that I'm really quick to recognize that if something's not working, I'm going to switch it. So buy a pass. If you're talking about exercise, you're talking about trying something new, buy a pass first. Yes, it might be more expensive, and you might not be saving as much, but you're not saving any money if you're buying 6 months and not going. So try it out, see what it feels like first. There's so many things where like a friend can take you for free to try it out. And if you go and you enjoy it, then it's going to be easy, and you're going to be investing in something that you're going to enjoy, or you're going to be getting a return on. And if you're testing, you can test multiple things, and you might actually be surprised, because what we think we need and what we think we want isn't always right spot on the first time. Okay. Like we figure it out as we go. So give yourself space to do that, instead of forcing yourself into doing something that you're not actually 100% sure you you think you want it or you know you need it, but it might not be the exact way you can achieve that. There's a million other ways. So the testing is great. I love that
Yeah.
because I think we get scared and don't do it enough.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like if we say we're going to do something, we have
Much.
to commit the whole time,
Yeah.
even if it's at a detriment to us,
Yeah.
instead of just
Absolutely.
being a little bit more easygoing with the flow and just honestly being like, yeah, I'm just trying this out today. I'm going to see how it is.
This is all got to work towards the next step. So the next step is really knowing what your 3 to 5 to 10 year plan is. Because if you don't know what your life will look like in 3 to 5 years, you're kind of just working for the now and you're not assessing and thinking of your goals long term. And I really struggle with this part, like thinking long term. Like I'm really good with the quarters, and that's how I like to think. My quarters need to be setting myself up for the whole year, for the whole 3 years, for the whole 5 years. Like I need to know in business what it is I plan on doing in 5 years' time, because I don't want to be doing the same thing for 5 years. I want my business to grow. I want to be doing something completely different, but I need to know what that is in order to start a podcast and to really think about things that are going to set myself up for better in the future. So when I think about my 3 to 5 years, I think about what it is that I want to feel like I'm doing. One of my goals is to not spend Christmas in England and to spend Christmas on a beach. I've never spent Christmas on a beach, and I think it's one of the experiences that I've been thinking about for a while, and I'm like, I really want to do that. But can I do that realistically? It's one of the most expensive times to travel. I'm definitely going to have to stay in a hotel, but do I really want to stay in a hotel and have normal food or Christmas food? Like really thinking about what it is that you want to fly and making it an experience for yourself. Like, who are you going to go with? Are you going to go solo? Are you going to go with your family? Are you going to go with your friends? Like, what does that look like? And that's like a year goal. And then if you think about that in 3 years' time, what are your 3 year goals that you think that you're going to be able to set yourself up for? Talking about where are you going to live? What are you going to drive? What are you going to look like? Because when you think about losing weight, or when you think about like working on your body, that's a time period. People say, go to the gym today and tomorrow your body will look completely different, which is such a lie. You can work so hard and still have the same diet, which is what is screwing you over. Or you can work so hard and have a medical condition that you have no idea. Think about the goals and focus in on what steps that you do need to take in order for those 3 to 5 years to happen. And it's tough to think about, but they aren't set in stone. They're just for you to know about and for you to figure out how to do it. Because I think I used to get really frustrated with, I want to be in this place in 10 years' time. And then my whole life changed. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, in 10 years' time, I'm never going to be there. So where am I going to be in 10 years?
What I find really easy is what a lot of people struggle with. And I'm going to try to explain this in the best possible way that my neurodivergent brain can handle. But I can envision multiple timelines. And I think that this has done me so much good in not just focusing on one, but focusing on basically what the other timelines could be, all of the timelines. Because I think what my experience has taught me is that I can envision things and I can want for things and I can, forecast into my future and be like, what do I want it to look like? I only know what I know right now. Next year, I could have a completely different trajectory because things came forward or opportunities happen that completely shift which timeline you're really leaning towards. And that can change. And they can also all align and be, there can be some perfect marriage of all the best parts or all the parts. There's so much you can't actually foresee. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't spend time thinking about it.
No.
Because what you spend your time thinking about is how you inform the decisions of where you're going to invest your time and energy now. So I like to think about it as kind of being open in the same way that you think about, horoscope is you don't take it as gospel. Like you don't take it as like, this is what's going to happen. You take it as this is what's possible. And if you think about the possibilities that excite you and start thinking about your future, year 2, 3, 4, you have to think about it in those kind of different trajectories. And some of the things that I've like left a lot of space for have made it really easy to get specific with other things. So for instance, for me, I don't really have a goal to like buy a home and settle down in one place. It's never been something that sat well with me ever,
Mm.
because I don't feel the need for that. I don't feel
Yeah.
the craving for that, where other people, that's a huge goal. Is they want that stability and they want to
Mm.
have that one place, or, they're building a family and it's important to have one place because, whatever your goals are in your life are different. For me, that has always been super difficult to navigate, because I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to live, because I don't really care. I care to an
Yeah.
extent, but like, I don't have one place where I'm like focused on being. So it changes all of the other things that I'm thinking about. So I try to think about like what I can control, and what I really want to have control over is I want to be able to be completely remote but have a completely robust business, and I want to have a diversified business. And there's things that I really enjoy doing now that I really want to be a part of like growth in my future. So those are kind of the ways that I start thinking about is like, what am I really enjoying now that like I want to expand on? And what are things that I don't yet have that I want to build?
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of building it, you're going to learn so much. For anyone out there, besties, if you've built a website, what you think it's going to look like and what skills you have to build it, those things completely change. So like the
Mm-hmm.
first website I built, I was like, I'm so proud of this. This is awesome. And then I built my new website and I was like, ugh, that was not great. But I also couldn't have known that because I didn't have the skills yet to see it differently.
Yeah.
So you have to create a path in a way that you can shift in any
Mm.
direction and make space for your goals to, yes, they have to be specific in certain ways because they have to be specific to your why. It's almost like you're creating a lens between like which you look at it and you're like, does this fit what my why is? Does this fit what my lifestyle is? And if you find things that are like really outliers in what you're trying to achieve, that kind of tells you you need to take a second look at it and be like, is this really what I want to do? Or is this really where I want to spend my time? Or is this really moving me forward to the type of life I want to live? And the thing is, all the material things can change. You could swap those out tomorrow. In the future, you can swap
Yeah.
those things out. But what is going to give you the power to choose what you want? That's where I think is what is going to give me the most space to choose
Mm.
which direction I want to move in. So it's leaving enough space for like the flexible and adaptability of, the opportunities that come up that you couldn't foresee or didn't expect, or, those TSN turning points that we've experienced just in our last 12 weeks that have completely changed how we see what we want in the future. That's going to continue to happen. And you have to welcome that instead of focusing on, oh, it's not part of the plan. Think about the plan as being a little bit more broad. So you're envisioning it, but envisioning like what the possibilities are so that you can kind of start seeing maybe what the barriers are. And that is how you can start navigating it and building those steps and foundations so that you're creating what it is that you want to be able to do in a year. Like, do you want to have more choices in a year? You have to kind of sprinkle out a little bit more trial and error to figure out what you want those to look like. It's important to keep that balance. And I think that's where, a lot of us got stuck in that. I'm going to follow that prescription. I went to
Mm.
university. I got a job. I'm going to, be at this job until retirement. And then you get to retirement for me, which was 28. I joke all the time that I'm a retired teacher. And I watch all the older teachers be like, oh my God, you're retired. And I was like, yes, you can too. We have to unsubscribe to certain ways that we think we have to plan our future and
Yeah.
just start scaffolding success in a way that's like, okay, in 5 years, I want to buy a home, or I want to, have a property, or there's some really big investment that I want to make.
Mm.
I think about it less of what the investment is. And I think about like, I want to be able to choose if I want to do
Yeah.
that or not. I want to have the financial freedom and the financial stability and the abundance to be able to make choices on the fly,
Yeah.
or
I
take an
absolutely.
opportunity that comes towards me because I'm prepared financially for it.
No, I think that is perfect. I think that is exactly how I need to think about it. I need to think about that it's not set in stone, that there are multiple options, but also when I get to that point, I get to choose still. Like, it's not
Yeah.
the be all and end all at the very end of the journey. I think that
Yeah.
is so interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. And I think when you decide what you want to do, it almost feels like, because you've decided that is your whole personality, and that's like what you're painted with, and that's how you have to now make all of your decisions, when in reality we've got so many different goals and so many different areas of our lives that we want to pick up and drop off, and all of that kind of stuff makes you feel like it's never ending, when in reality you're just building more options for yourself, and you're building more options for a different reality. And the fact that you can own the choice and own the decision that you make when you get there means that you don't necessarily have to set it in stone almost. Okay, well, I do want to buy a house. I'd love a house today. Great. What would I do with it? Because there's not a lot you can do with it. Like, realistically, what are you going to do when your dreams come true? As we were talking about before. So that does help me, I think. And I think that's going to help loads and loads of people out there as well. Amazing. Well, I think that conversation was so important for me.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it is.
For all of you.
It's the conversation. I think that all of us struggle with this, trying to create a future in this volatile time where we can't predict the future. We really can't. You just have to prepare yourself and set yourself up for having more options and choices when it comes, and what you want those options and choices to be. And bring it back 12 weeks. That's why it's easier to do it 12 weeks at a time, is what overall transformation you want to see in yourself, or what you want to feel differently at this time next year. And start thinking about, okay, what are some things I can action in the next 12 weeks that I can make a milestone around? Not a final goal, but just something I want to work towards, and see what I can accomplish in 12 weeks if I put action every day towards that, or every week towards that. And see how much you can accomplish in 12 weeks, because you'll be really surprised about how much your mindset will change around it when you give yourself the time and energy to think that way.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because I think it is all about the perspective that you put yourself into towards your goals. I do think it needs to change a lot for a lot of people, and it's not often the what they think about. So I really hope that this has opened you up to a completely new way of thinking about your goals for the new year and for this quarter.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to email us if you've got any questions, or if you want us to talk about a specific thing, let us know at bestselfbestiespodcast@gmail.com.
And you also have the Spotify polls. Just give us a little click, 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 and put in your 2 cents for what you thought about this episode, or what are some things that you still have questions about when it comes to the 12-week year, or even just setting yourself up for 2024 success. Thanks again for listening, and we are so excited to share this journey with you. We'll see you again next week.
Goodbye.